Okay, so I have been keeping a personal notebook for some years now, and in just the past year or so, I feel like I've really unlocked a lot of potential for great ways to use it to not only organize your thoughts, but think more clearly, think more deeply, and then translate those things to positive effects on your day to day life. So I thought since I'm coming to the end of this current notebook, I would just start working on setting up this new notebook and just kind of walk everybody through how I like to set up my notebook when I first get it. So we're going to crack it open first thing off the bat. And if this is the type of thing that you think you can maintain for a long time, what I like to do is at the start of each notebook, I put how long, or rather the month and the year that I started it, so March 2025. And then, for example, we're in May 2025, so I would just put May 2025. That's pretty rough, but you get the idea of what I'm going for. So when I crack open this new notebook, we're just working through that right now. The very first thing I'll do is I'll just put right down here exactly what we're looking for. Bam, May 2025, just like that. So next thing is, I suppose we'll start from the front and just work our way back. As you can see at the front of my notebook, we're just gonna leave this page blank for now. So we're gonna go into our new notebook and I'll kind of explain what that looks like later almost. And then I like to keep track of some of my goals. We don't have to go super into that. Everybody's got different goals, but some of mine are just like getting a hold of my debts, going on more hikes, going on more dates, stuff like that. And then a big part of what I like to do is read. So I've got a book completion log. And this is just all the books that I've read up this year. I'm up to 14. I'm sure people are up to way more than that. I'm sure people are a lot less than that. I've just started reading this year, so this is a big one for me. And then you kind of get into the meat of the notebook. So a couple things that I like to kind of go over here is these squares. You can see like right here at the top of my page, I've put this in a square. This is essentially like a big topic, right? And you can see this as we kind of like flip through the notebook. You'll just stumble into different squares that mean different things, right? And it's just like the idea there is I could just be flipping through and I see like, oh, square at the top of the page, that's super important, right? So it's like a header. Another thing you can do is you can mark it with like an asterisk or like a star, whatever you're comfortable with. And then you'll just know when you stumble into things like that, like, oh, that was super valuable, right? And then this is more like study stuff. You could do like a mini header, underline it, and then just start like listing down topics, you know? And then we kind of get to our decoder here where I've got a QH, a WOE, and it's like, well, what does that mean? I stumble into that. It's like I've got like for example here, I've got a quote and I've got QH. It's like, well, maybe I forgot what that means. So I can come to the front of my notebook and I see that QH means quote harvest. That wasn't my initial idea. Rather, that wasn't my original idea. That came from someone else. But it's super valuable. And then having things like that, words of encouragement. CP is a creative project. D&D is Dungeons and Dragons, right? So we just work through these. And then anytime you come up with a new one, if this front page is totally blank in your notebook, you can kind of just jot that down. You can just kind of leave that open for whatever you've got. Another thing I like to do is just kind of thought dump. So you'll see like a lot of these pages are filled with just random like checklists or things that I was just thinking in the moment, or I'm studying something. And it is really, really interesting how you can be doing very simple writings. You can be writing down just like, I had lunch at the mall today, or I did my laundry really early this morning, or just like whatever thoughts come into your mind. And as you empty those thoughts out of your mind, it creates room for more interesting things to land on the page. And it's crazy how quickly you go from, I had a sandwich for lunch, to what is the most important thing in my life right now. And that's like a big jump, but like it really does become that profound that quickly. Another thing I kind of want to touch on is this is something that people have been doing since paper has been invented. Like people like have always kept notebooks in their pocket. On that topic, the best way to kind of use this to kind of like make this a part of your daily habit is just like your phone has a home in your pocket. Like I know my phone always goes in my front left pocket, right? Is to create a home for your notebook. Just make a spot where it's like my notebook and my pen always exist in this spot. The front part of my bag, this pocket in my purse, my cargo pocket on my left side of my pants. And when you give it that home, it means that it always goes with you somewhere. So that's kind of the biggest things that I was looking towards. I'm a little all over the place here. This goals tracker at the front, people do a lot of like New Year's goals or whatever, and they're big things like brush teeth more often. Like that's pretty good. Like obviously I want to do that. That was a big one for me. But then also like go on new hikes, right? Like that's a tangible goal. That's a real thing that you can do and keep track of. Or like more tangible goals down here. Write an essay. And I actually haven't checked these off, but I've written an essay and I've written a poem. And then you can like take these things and it's like, wow, when I look back at this, look at how much I've accomplished. And that's like a huge morale boost for you. And you can kind of just use that to keep moving forward. Another thing I wanted to touch on, this also isn't an original idea, but I did kind of spin it to myself. A lot of people will use, basically you take your notebook, you've got the front of it like this, and you open it up, right? That's the front of the notebook. What you can do is you can take your notebook and you can flip it upside down and you can start from the back, right? And you can just kind of, oh, look, now I've got like an index in the back of my book. And a lot of people will use this in like bigger books to keep like a full like index or glossary. So it's like that way I'm writing in the front of the book and then I'm writing in the back of the book. And eventually they just like run into each other and you don't run out of space either way. What I've been using it for though, is I use this almost like a second notebook, right? So if I am doing like my day-to-day task, I've got like a work notebook or like I just want to put down a quote or whatever, like it goes in here. I'm doing a to-do list, whatever that might happen to be. And then let's say like maybe I stumble into one of those profound thoughts while I'm on my lunch break, right? And I just like, I gotta write something important for it down. I'll flip it open. I'll flip to the back and I'll kind of just start working through it. Like I have these super big, like important thoughts that are like, that I'm just working through. I didn't do a bunch in this notebook, but some of them end up more. A couple more things to touch on here in the back of the notebook. I don't want to reveal it too much because it's got some potentially sensitive information in it. But you can kind of just see here, like I've got, that's the number for my bankruptcy place, right? Like that's Wi-Fi passwords. I don't feel too bad sharing that because I feel like anybody could get a hold of that needed to. But you essentially can use this back of the notebook as like a decoder, right? Where it's like, I have these codes, like I need to get into the garage at work, or I need to remember the code to my bike lock, or I need to remember a password for something. You can use that back part of your notebook, this whole portion right here, and you can just write in like all those codes and stuff. So instead of like going to your phone to pull up those codes, which is going to pull you in a million different directions the second that phone comes out, you've got a very quick reference just for every single code that you need in your life, and it's totally good to go. And then truly the final thing I want to touch on is you'll get to the end of your notebook and you'll be closing in on the last couple pages like this. You'll see like I've got like all of my studies up to this point, and I was literally just on this part of the notebook today, and now I've got like 5, 6, 7-ish pages left, and I know I'm coming to the end of this notebook, and I know that I'm gonna need to start a new one. So what I like to do is, here we go, so as you get to the end of the notebook, you can kind of just take it, and you see I've totally filled this, which is like a bunch of nonsense all the way at the end of my notebook, and I ended up with a couple blank pages at the end. I think that's okay. No big deal there. But basically what you do in these last few pages, you've got all of this stuff happening throughout the entire notebook, right? You can take all of that information and you can just summarize it in the last few pages. Like, what have I learned? What do I want to take with me into my next notebook? And I like, personally, I've been using a different pen color for that. So for example, after this video, I'm gonna take my purple pen and I'm going to just write a summary of this notebook and write some goals for my next notebook, and kind of just round off the last few ideas. And then anything that's still super important in this notebook that needs to follow into my next notebook is right here ready to go. And that's it, guys. I know there's a lot of like information there, but really the biggest thing you should take away is it's an excellent tool for you to use to kind of like learn more about yourself and learn more about the world around you. And it's fun. It's a ton of fun. People have been doing this for so long because they enjoy it. This isn't just like some sort of like deep philosophical like, oh, I have to understand the universe sort of thing. Like this is a legitimately enjoyable way to kind of like get your thoughts on paper and just learn. If you're into learning, this is a great way to learn. And that's it. That's all I've got. If you watched this, I appreciate you so much. And if you could do the algorithm things, the likes, the comments, the subscribes, that would be awesome. Thank you.